You know, when I left the theater today, after seeing this movie, one major flaw came up when it comes to this film. So, in this one, Mike and Sully first meet. I have that right? Well, how come in Monsters Incorporated, Mike said this?
You've been jealous of my good looks since the 4th grade, pal.
So, did they meet in the 4th grade, or did they meet in college, or when did they meet? I don't know how that works, but anyway, that's a major flaw there. But aside from that, I'm nitpicking, of course, we got Monsters University, Pixar's 14th full-length feature film. 14 films, that is a lot of movies. But aside from that, I'm gonna start by talking about the short film first, and then we'll get into the movie. So, what is this big, awesome short film that's gonna premiere before this one? It's, well, it's actually a really clever idea, I will say that, and it's exactly what I expected out of Pixar. Really clever idea, stuff that might happen every day, but it only exists in animation. And it's called The Blue Umbrella. And, again, no dialogue, which I love in a Pixar short film. I love that so much. Because in my opinion, that is some of the best storytelling you'll ever get, with no dialogue, just visuals. And with facial features and music, and it's just brilliant. It's exactly what I love from these guys. So, Pixar, by the way. Yeah. So, anyway, it's called The Blue Umbrella, and it's basically about this blue umbrella, of course, who has a face on it, so the umbrella's alive. Pixar's very used to doing that, bringing inanimate objects to life. And he sees this red umbrella standing right next to him. Now, I should pretty much make this clear. This is a short film where I guess it takes place in New York City. I think it does. On a raining evening. And you have a crowd of people walking on the streets, and they get stopped by a red light, and there's a blue umbrella, and he looks to his left, and he sees this red umbrella, who I'm guessing is a female, because she looks like a female, and he starts to like her. But what I really love about this is going to sound corny, how real this feels. Now, let me explain that. It kind of, like, you know how in Toy Story, where, again, this isn't real, but, again, in Toy Story, when you were a child and you left your bedroom, maybe your toys came to life. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in Monsters Incorporated. Like, when you hear your child says there's monsters in the closet, they're actually telling the truth. That's what this is. Because we don't see the umbrella alive and looking out for things. We don't see the streetlight alive. We don't see that skyscraper moving a little bit. We don't see the inanimate objects alive because we are everyday people. We're focusing on walking down the street, focusing on our day plans, and nobody can see the umbrella because everybody's got umbrellas, and nobody can see the inanimate objects that are coming to life. And it's a really simple story, and it was very, very moving. And it told a really brilliant story. I thought it was one of the best short films that Pixar's done since La Luna, which was the last short film they did, and that was good. You know, the one that was sided with Brave. So that's the short film. The short film was really good. The movie, oh boy, where do I start with this? Okay, here's the deal. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Okay? It's in the same boat with Brave. I thought it was just okay. It had a lot of creative moments, I will say that, which Pixar's very good at doing, having a lot of creative moments in here. But aside from that, I mean, I know it's a prequel, but it's technically Monsters, Inc. 2. As a sequel, I felt it was kind of dull. I mean, I wish it had focused more on how Mike and Sully became friends. I mean, like, the only reason why they're truly hanging out together is because Sully doesn't want to get expelled, and in order not to get expelled, or Mike not to get expelled from Monsters University, they have to join this fraternity and compete in these scaring games or something like that. And they're not fighting the whole time, but you can almost feel like, sorry, this is how I felt. As the movie played out, I felt this movie was very forced. It doesn't look rushed. I mean, it looks amazingly beautiful. There's a lot of good, clever moments in this, but I just felt it was forced. Now, here are some positive things I'll say about the movie. I really liked the fraternity. I don't remember the name of it. The Uzi character. I forget the fraternity. I think it was a fraternity. Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. I could be wrong, but I really like the side characters in this. Yeah, I like the scaring games that they compete. I think the Dean, Head Scrabber, I forget the name of the Dean or something like that, but I thought the Dean was a really cool design. I remember the design of the Dean. That was really clever. Again, it didn't wow me. I still think Monsters Incorporated is better than this one. But, I thought it was okay. I thought it was entertaining. It had a lot of clever jokes in it. I mean, like there were moments in the movie when I was laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really clever. Oh, I like that. That was cool. I'm glad they did their own twist with that. Okay, so what's the story? Well, you got Mike Wazowski as a little young monster, and he wants to be a scarer. He wants to be the best scarer he can be. And they visit the scare floor in Monsters Incorporated, which I will admit had me a little bit hyped to see again, because you're like, oh, this is Monsters Inc. 2, we're finally going to get this. And so he finds out about Monsters University, that it's the best school to go to, it's where you learn to be a scarer, and he goes there. And he comes across a couple of colorful characters along the way, and of course he meets Sully, and we see Randall. It turns out Randall wasn't always evil, after all. In fact, you know, that's one of the things I really like about this movie, because it ties in with Monsters Incorporated, and you really, you kind of understand, like, why these characters are like that in Monsters, Inc., which is what a prequel is supposed to do. I will say this. The last half hour to 45 minutes of the movie is brilliantly executed. Seriously. And it really, really ties in with Monsters Incorporated. I mean, it does that throughout the movie here and there, like a couple of things. Like, you see Randall being good, you see them go to the factory, you see Mike actually, he's more of an assistant telling scarers how to scare than an actual scarer. You know, we see that in Monsters Incorporated. And you see the relationship between him and Sully kind of formed. They were kind of enemies. Oh, let me ask you this. Like, it didn't hit me until the end credits. You know that teaser trailer that we first saw about a year ago when they first announced they were doing this movie? And you see Mike hanging as a disco ball? Yeah, none of those scenes are in this movie. That whole practical joke when they have, like, the mirrors on him and he looks like a disco ball, that's not even in the movie. And if anything, like, Sully was kind of advertised as like a bully to Mike at first when they first met. He's not like that at all to Mike. It's more like competition. It's not like he picks on him at first and then they suddenly become friends. We know that they're going to become friends, obviously. But it was nothing like that. It was totally different. But it had a couple of clever twists here and there. But aside from that, I mean, they had a couple of new ideas in this movie. A couple of new ones, but I don't know. I mean, it felt like something that they really didn't have to do. And I hear they're doing a sequel to Finding Nemo called Finding Dory. Why isn't Pixar making Incredibles 2? I don't know why. I wish they would just... Like, Brad Bird, please, just make The Incredibles 2. We're waiting for that! I don't know why they're not gonna do The Incredibles 2, or at least not yet, hopefully. You know, that short film, see, that's the kind of stuff that Pixar was good at doing. They had unique, really clever ideas, and it kept going. Monsters University had a few of that. It had a couple of good ideas. It wasn't totally unique. Now, here's another thing. I know that every film Pixar made in the last 20 years, or almost 25 years, I believe, was not unique. Like, monsters coming out of the closet, toys coming to life, fish talking, superheroes. That was not unique. But it's what they put their own spin on that made it unique. And Monsters University, really not a lot there. I mean, it's a university where, I mean, it's where the monsters go to learn how to scare, and then eventually they might get a job at Monsters Incorporated, okay. But, I mean, like, as a sequel, I know it's a prequel, but technically this is Monsters, Inc. 2, in a way. I wish they could have done a little bit better. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, I wanted it to go a little further and try harder, and there were too many scenes of Mike getting getting pretty much like bullets getting thrown his way in a way. Like everybody was saying, "Oh, you're not scary. You're not scary looking. You'll never be a top scare." Everybody does this to him. The dean does it to him. You know, the other fraternities do it to him. Sully does it at one point. And we cut up to Mike's face like, and his eye like flashing up like he's been finally told the truth. He does that like maybe 5 to 6 times in this movie. Maybe 3 or 4 times, I don't know. But I remember every time they did that and they play that music, I'm like, didn't I just see this scene? I mean, like I know it sounds like I'm tearing this movie to shreds, but I'm mixed about this movie. I'm in the middle. There were a lot of creative things in this movie, and then there was stuff like I'm watching it and I'm like, oh man, is this ever gonna end? It was kind of like that. It was kind of like Brave. It had a few clever ideas, really clever ideas, but it felt like it was all over the place. And Monsters University, in my opinion, I don't know. It kind of felt like it was. I mean, maybe I'd have to give this a second viewing. I don't know. I'd have to give it a second viewing. I'm just telling you what my initial thought was as I was leaving the theater. But I do recommend it. I do think that kids will like it. I kind of liked it, but I'm not a child. Okay. Adults will like it. I will tell you that. It's one of the. I think it's like the first G-rated film to come out this year. I believe. Finally, we get a G-rated movie. Thank God. No PG stuff. But, yeah, I do recommend Monsters University. It did have a lot of clever stuff in it. I personally think it could have been better. Maybe I have to sit down and watch this movie again. I don't know. But aside from that, the really, really thing I absolutely love, that I truly got what I wanted out of Pixar, was the short film. Which is The Blue Umbrella. That's one of the best short films that they've ever done, in my opinion. It's really a good one. Really clever. Really one of those clever ideas. And, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next review. Take care.